So I've been in an incredibly difficult season for what feels like going on almost 7 years now. It started when the company I was working for got taken out by COVID. This was while we were back in Rhode Island. And basically, we got a call, said we had 60 days to figure out what we're going to do. And then the company was out of business. And that led to us basically packing everything up and moving from Rhode Island back to Texas, which is where we're from. And we had to do it with literally enough money to get home and nothing else. Like we actually got back without even having enough money to pay rent the following month. And that led to starting a new business, which seemed like it was, going to go, but it was kind of one of those situations where, on a quarterly basis, we're at the point where, if we don't raise funds or something doesn't change, we're wiped out again. So it was a lot of uncertainty for a solid, call it like 3 years or 4 years. But the final blow felt like it kind of hit in 2024 when the company just got wiped out by a freak industry situation. And since then, it's just been kind of one thing after another, not enough income to be able to support us, but yet somehow every month, the Lord provides, right? And but it's been this place where it has felt like there's nowhere to put my feet where I can say, this is confident soil. This is something I can rest my feet on and say, if I stand here, this place will hold me up. Now, since the company went out of business, I've been in a place where I've been hesitant to really pray for provision because I've been trying to just rest in the Lord and not focus on that. Jesus says, don't worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, what you're going to wear. Rather seek first the kingdom, and then these things will be added. And so, in this particular season, I really felt like I felt a directing from the Spirit, for lack of a better word, to not ask specifically for provision. But in about the last couple of weeks, that's changed, and I've been actively praying for the Lord to re-provision us and really just to restore our family and our household. And as I was praying this morning, the Lord led me to something in Ezekiel that I want to share with you guys. Therefore, Adonai Elohim says, I will bring the sword against you and eliminate both your people and your animals. The land of Egypt will become a desolate waste, and they will know that I am Adonai, because he said, the Nile is mine. I made it, so I am against you and your Nile, and I will make the land of Egypt a totally desolate waste from Migdol to Ziphnah, however you pronounce that, all the way to the border of Ethiopia. No human foot will pass through it, and no animal foot will pass through it. It will be uninhabited for 40 years. Yes, I will make the land of Egypt desolate even when compared with other desolate countries. Likewise, her cities in comparison with other ruined cities. They will be desolate 40 years. I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations and disperse them through the countries. For this is what Adonai Elohim says, at the end of 40 years, I will gather the Egyptians from the peoples where they were scattered. I will restore the fortunes of Egypt and cause them to return to the land of their origin, Patros. But there they will be a humble kingdom, the humblest of kingdoms. It will never again dominate other nations. I will reduce them so that they never again rule other nations. Moreover, they will no longer be a source of confidence for Israel to turn to. Rather, it will only bring to mind their guilt in having turned to them before, and then they will know that I am Adonai Elohim. And so what the Lord reminded me is that he will destroy anything that I place my confidence in other than him. Literally anything. And he does this as a mercy because there is nothing in this world that is truly reliable. Everything in this life is in the process of passing away. Even if there were something in this life that were reliable for the totality of our life, what can a man give in exchange for his soul? There is nothing that is reliable for us to rest on that has eternal quality other than him. Now, initially, I thought he was showing this to me to remind me once again that I had put my confidence in my resources, in my ability to to generate provision, and it was a reminder that, hey, I have to destroy this because I need you to once again return to having your confidence being absolutely and solely in me and nothing else. Now, this has been a thing between me and the Lord for the better part of 20 years. I mean, I've seen him show up in truly miraculous ways in my finances. And I've had situations where, we were so poor we couldn't afford to buy gas and groceries, and then literally went from there to making, six figures as an executive somewhere where I had no background that would suggest that I should be able to do it. But it has still been a constant source of struggle for me because I just don't like feeling like my resources are unstable, probably like anybody. But when I read the scripture this morning, he showed me that that's not what he's been destabilizing. What he's actually been destabilizing is my sense of certainty. And I know that may sound strange because we tend to talk about things like, oh, we're certain of the Lord. But the thing is that there's a difference between being certain of the Lord and knowing the Lord, which gives you a sense of certainty. And I know that sounds like splitting hairs, but as a person who's been going through this, trust me when I say there's a difference. And the reason that matters is that our certainty of the Lord tends to come from the things that we read in Scripture and what we imagine he will or won't do. And then the moment he does something we don't expect, the moment he doesn't show up in the way that we anticipate, the way that we expected him to show up based on the way we understood him, all of a sudden our certainty is rocked. And that has been my experience in this last 3 years. Up to the last 3 years, the Lord has shown up exactly the way I imagined that he would. From what I saw in Scripture, the prayers that I had, the time that I spent with him, in every way, he showed up exactly the way I expected him to show up. Until in this last couple of years. And in this last couple of years, we've had a few situations where he did not show up the way I expected him to. And it completely threw me off. And it's been like that until, honestly, up until call it the last 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm being just very transparent here. But in the last 2 to 3 weeks, he's been instilling something different in me. It's not a certainty of him, but rather it is a knowledge of him, a relationship with him that is making me feel certain. And it's not that I'm certain of him, it's more like he makes me feel certain, if that makes sense. I know that sounds so strange, but I hope this is making sense, because anything that we have confidence in other than him, even our own certainty of him, he will destabilize. Because the only safe thing in this world or the next that we can put our confidence in is the Lord. And I'll leave you with this. In Isaiah 26:3, it says, he will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is stayed upon the Lord, because he trusts in him. Trust in Adonai forever, for yea, Adonai is a rock of ages. So if your world is feeling shaky right now, take hold of the rock.